Sorry about that. It seems like we got a little bit of disconnection there. So we're going to go over this again, and we're going to break down each one of these. Ancient Egyptians will be first because that is where the base of this starts. We are starting with the date is about the 10th century AD when we started. So we have got the 10th century. This is where Korkat and Alquerque, this is what they called checkers at that time. Now, this is where this game was given to the Egyptians, some for leisure, some for strategy, and some for just, I guess, relax time. So now, in the 22, there was a man named Harold Carter, and he found King Tut's tomb. King Tut's tomb was part. Huh. It seems that King Tut, he had played this game because Howard Carter found a grid board, a pattern grid board, and then stones in a bladder from a cow, a goat, or whatever. And it was still together in the tactic, all together. And there was the pebbles and stones inside. So now we also see that each time that they found a tomb, there was always this game. At the time, they didn't know what it was. They didn't know how it was played. Okay. The Romans, I mean the Egyptians, they played on a 30 cell pattern grid board. Now, due time, they broke that down to 5 by 5, 7 by 7, 7 by 8, and they went on and brung it up. But they found that they had to add more stone. But they found also that if you just played it without jumping, it was just there was no means of winning. Okay. In the Romans' time, the Romans they call it latron. Two players on a grid board. The size of their boards would be, like I said, 7 to 7 all the way up. They would have 10 to 20 stones. 10 to 20 stones would be used for each side. Ulrich Schadler came up with the basic rules of reconstructing that each person would take a turn. If a stone would get in front, that they would jump it and they would take it off the board. This is how it started. It was absolutely, this is the changing of the game. But then they said, what happens when we get to the end of our opponent's row? What happens then? This is where the kings come in. The kings could go back and forth. They could capture more than one piece that was in the line. So this started, this is how we win. They used the basic there and took it out when they were at war. But when you're talking like that, you also see that there is one thing that it was never the same. Not one game was the same. Each game was different. There has been no written games that I could find where they written down that stone one took stone four or whatever. No, there's nothing there that I could find that they had written down and saved that. So logically, there is many games that was played back in those days that were lost. Okay, so the Romans, they established a two-player game. Now the Greeks, the Macus, they played the game just for total entertainment alone. That was all they. Greeks weren't. I called them the isolated, the never used for strategy, was just for entertainment only, and they were always critiquing their games and making them better or making it bigger or using it just for fun. Okay, so I also found that Plato and the Pedia players, they were the players that Plato said, if you block them, you couldn't move, you're a clever guy. Okay. Aristotle, he said, without a slate to compare and isolate a piece, you win. Well, okay, not always. Polybius, that was written in the Hellenistic period. I haven't much on that period, but I've noticed that with each period, there was always a strategy, either within, they played it for rituals, religion, war, entertainment. Uh, let's change. I want to change that. Let's change it to this. So each time, let's say a culture would move, they would change a game to their liking. So through the 3,000 centuries clear up to the modern day, we have what we call multiple differences in this game. At one time back, years back, two Canadian professors said they were going to put every move of checkers into a computer, have the computers play each other. They said they had solved checkers and we didn't need to play it anymore. Well, yeah, you put every move into a computer. A human brain can't use or put that much in your brain and remember. And between human and computer, you have the human will play a different move than this computer. This computer will be, it's been fed every move. So we need to take that and put it on the back burner, because I don't think the game will ever be solved, because there'll always be a different person, a different opponent, a different mind of strategy, and we can't say it's solved. We also step back and we also look that within the eras of cultures, we have the Celtics, we have all these different people that actually sat back and said, let's make it bigger, let's make it better. So 100 square board came in, but that came in the 1900s. The Flying Kings and that also came in the time frame. But I've seen a lot of these games. Chess came in the 1500s, and that was the men were in front, they're guarding the king and the queen, the rooks, the knights, the bishops. They're all on the back, ready for war. And in chess, the king is if the king is captured, it's over. But the queen was the one that has all the power. So women do have power. It's just that in checkers, the same on this one and on this one. It doesn't have a gender. 12 and 12. Move forward. Capture the men. King. And then possibly win. Well, I thank you all for coming. We had a little glitch today. I think it's going to rain, so that's why I'm kind of doing this over. But I appreciate you all coming, and I hope that you come next week. We were going to start the basic start, the board, the pieces, the numbers. We're going to do notation. This is just the beginning. This is the start of something I hope that goes way back from there to way forward into the future, so that we can actually say we are forever going to keep this game, checkers, alive. Thanks, guys. Have a nice evening. Bye.